Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one-word conversations. This is still Celebration Week. I had a wonderful conversation yesterday, and the word was celebrate, but today I am still in the celebration mode and mood and everything. And I am really excited about this conversation for a number of reasons. I will say that I Am William Brown is a sponsor of this show, and the way that I spotlight I Am William Brown is by our U cards, and our U cards today to set my intentions, and it is I am purpose, you are worthy, and the quote card is before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, from Jeremiah 1:5. So with that in mind, we are going to introduce the word here. The word is ease. And there is an ease into this conversation and into celebrating. I think really the uncomfortableness that I had before we talked yesterday, there is an ease today. And so with that in mind, I am going to bring my guests up and we will have a conversation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Will. How you doing?
I am doing great. This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable.
Great. Appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Barry Solway. So I'm trying to think. So we met through Jonathan Fields camp, GLP up in upstate New York, many years ago. So it's kind of hard to describe myself. I do so many different things, but I'm in the engineering field. So I'm out in Boulder, Colorado. I'm in engineering, so I run a engineering team that does high-end audio equipment these days. And I'm also an author, and so I've done a lot of different genres, including children's picture books, which is what got me started a few years ago. And then I have a few science fiction books out as well, and children's fantasy, that sort of thing. And then I'm also an entrepreneur, so I have two other side businesses on top of that, and just having a lot of fun. And then a bunch of other sort of super hobbies, I guess. I'm a dancer.
Right.
And,
super hobby. That's exactly. A new term. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's somewhere between. People talk about not like the dancing is a great example. Like you consider that a hobby, maybe because I do teach from time to time, but I don't make a ton of money. It's not really a business venture. Right. But it's definitely more than a hobby. It's you have something like that feeds your soul, and
right,
and that it's such an integral part of your life. It seems like a little, it's not quite enough to call it a hobby, but
right,
a profession either. So yeah.
Right. So no, I know, I totally get it. I think I'm going to use that again. I'm trying to look at all the super hobbies that I
Awesome.
I have.
Love it.
So how does the word ease land for you?
Yeah, I love that. It's so interesting because of all the things I do, ease is not something that often comes up as that describes me totally. So, and especially in today's world, there's so many things going on with the quarantining and the virus and the uncertainty around all of that, and just all the social changes that this idea of like the right now, like this idea of talking about ease almost seems odd to me. But I really loved it when I saw that word come up, because one of the things I really appreciate about it is like how it challenges my conception of where we are and how we show up. Like when things get difficult, like that's exactly the time that you want to focus on a lot of the qualities that can lead you through those difficulties, like gratitude and ease. Ease is one of them. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was kind of something, how I pick these words is the words will just come up for me and I'll just like put them down, and then they kind of show up, on a day with a smiling face, and your face was on there. And just really how it's landing for me is that I have really been fighting it, right?
Mhm.
It's like, it can't be this, there can't be an ease to this. This is what I'm saying in my head. There has to be some resistance. There has to be something. There has to, I have to kind of, manipulate is the word that's
Mhm.
coming up in my mind, or it's like, it has to be easy. And I think there's a difference from ease and easy, right? And
Totally. I
it's
was
like,
totally going to say that too. Yeah.
and it's a lot more than the why, right? Right,
Yeah.
it is, so, and or maybe it is the why, it's the you factor, right? The you factor in ease, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that causes it to be easy. But it really feels that the more that I embrace the ease of my life, and just step into the ease of it, then I can show up fully. And it is causing me to look at, what am I resisting in my life?
Mhm.
What is, how, and how is that causing things to happen in my life? And it's been very interesting, getting ready for this conversation and not getting ready for this conversation. But just
Right.
kind of, that's because that's how it is. It's like, I'm just thinking about it and not thinking about it. And it's like, yeah, it's like, wow, it's
Well,
really
it almost
interesting.
seems like if you think about it too much, then it's not ease, right? So you can't,
Right.
you don't want
Right.
to force it. Right? Yeah, yeah. And I want to back up for a second because, I know you got a lot of love yesterday, but happy birthday. I know yesterday was your
Thank
birthday.
you.
And then
Absolutely.
this Friday is your 100th episode, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
great. So that's really interesting too, because I think that you reached out to me maybe back in April, March or April, whenever it was. April, it must have been April sometime. And I was originally going to schedule a meeting sometime in early June, and then I kind of dropped off my plate. And by the time I got back, you were already full up through this month. So I had no idea it was your birthday or the 100th episode, but it's perfect to me that it kind of lined up this way, the random time that I chose, and I
Yes.
got to join you this week during this double celebration that you're having, and that's really awesome. So so the key thing that you said earlier that I really love, it was something that occurred to me too, is that ease and easy are not the same thing, and that to me there's almost I was kind of pondering this, and I haven't really thought it through all the way, but there's definitely an element there for me of ease, almost having not a challenge necessarily behind it, but it's like you're aligned with your purpose. You're doing something that means something, right? Because to me, easy is maybe lying on the beach, not doing anything, or just kind of, and I'll bring up a great example because this is what happened in March when I first started quarantining. Things got really boring really quickly, right?
Mhm.
And there's only so much YouTube you could watch. There's only so many. I got really productive for maybe a week or two, but then
Right.
you just want to relax, and you're just sitting there staring at the wall for weeks at a time, and that was not ease. That was a
Right.
different kind of thing. It might be boredom, it might be restlessness. The ease for me comes from when I'm doing something that has meaning and purpose, and that it feels aligned with who I am, and
Right.
that I have some capability in that area, right? So not mastery maybe, but like I feel like I'm able to execute and to contribute either to myself or the world in a good way. And there's a
Right.
flow to it. So those are the
Right.
kind of ideas that come up to me. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And I think when you use the term, your super hobby, for me,
Mhm.
there was an ease in that. It was like, look, I don't know exactly what this is, but this feels good. Like, I enjoy doing it. I love showing up this way. And there's an ease to that. There's not that kind of how we put things. I'll speak for myself. There is this either or, I
Yeah.
have to be making money doing this or I'm not, right? Type of thing. And it's like, it's that in between where you're like, hey, I guess I can make a little money off of this, but this is not something that I want, to be a job or a work or something. There is something. And I think that super hobby type of label to kind of embrace that, to just kind of like, you know what? I'll have fun with this until I don't have fun with this. And that's
Yeah.
okay, right?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
wow.
There's I'm trying to think. Attachment to outcome. So you were talking. I think you almost used the word force a little bit ago, right?
Right.
This idea of like
Hmm.
forcing things. Yeah. And that's I try to be a little careful with that one because I think I mean, you can certainly set an intention and have a goal in mind, and you're trying to push to have that thing happen. And for other people who don't want that thing to happen, and I've been in this situation before, so I'm sensitive to the language around it. It can feel like forcing to other people because they want a different outcome maybe, right? And they're like, oh, stop trying to force things. I try to be careful about using the word force, but there is a point there where you're like trying to push the noodles or whatever metaphor you want to use, and there is a lack of, like, if you can let that go a little bit. This comes back quite a bit in my mind in the practices that I've been doing over the last 5 or 6 years to like non-attachment, from a Buddhist perspective or just a meditative perspective and the challenge there is like, how can you stay connected to something without being attached to outcomes?
Right.
How can you care about the thing?
Yeah, I think Angie Cole, I guess the concept of high intention and low attachment, right?
Yeah,
so it's just really not being attached to the outcome of it. But there's an intention, there's an intentionality, in it. And, I can just like look at this show that, I went from like no show to like, almost 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And so it is like, okay, so how can I have the intention to show up for this, show on the daily, right? But have no attachment, that it's like, I can do 100 shows and then 101, it's like done.
Yeah,
and it's like, whoa, wait a second. Am I okay with that? And it's like, there's a part of me is like, no, I mean, it's like, it's like, I'm not okay with that. But and there's some cases that I am, but because there has been this ease in like just showing up in this, I am committed to this platform and this show as long as I'm committed to it. And
how does that feeling of not okayness, like, what does that feel like for you?
It feels like it's like an irresponsibility, right?
Oh, yeah.
It feels like, hey, you're going to put all this work in, you're going to have all these people, that said yes, right? That are, are there. And there's like, there are people that reach out to me constantly and say, hey, this is, very powerful show. I'm really kind of connecting to how I communicate with people and all that other kind of stuff. And you're just going to walk away. How irresponsible is that? Right. Type of thing. And it's just like, all right, I don't want to be irresponsible. Right.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't want to be so attached to this that I miss, everything that I,
or that you force it to be something that it shouldn't be. That I think that's a big concern too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really interesting. When I got out of college in my mid-20s and started working, I'm not sure. I kind of know the reasons, and I don't need to go into the details. But I kind of came up with this voice in my head that was just like, oh, you can do better than this, right? Like, you can get a better job. And then was in software engineering for years, and then finally got into management. It was like, oh, you can do better. You can do better. You can do better. And that voice was great for a while there. But sometime in my mid-30s, it turned into a thing of like, Jesus, voice, can you please quiet down? Like, yeah, I'm doing better. Like, do I get to rest here at some point, right? And that becomes a thing where you're just constantly, like, for me, it turned into this thing of constantly trying to achieve. And it was so interesting. A number of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I actually quit work, took a sabbatical, quit the job I had for 1.5 years, and wrote 2 books. And that was such a great year, and it was so fantastic to give myself permission to step back and to do something I really loved, and not to keep trying to force this. I think what happens is we have these chapters to our lives, or these arcs, and an arc will end, and we don't acknowledge that it's ending, or we don't allow it to end. We just want to hold on to it, and that's the attachment thing again, right? And to let that go, and to just be okay with the idea that things would work out the way they needed to work out. And and it's so interesting because I can think of like probably a dozen times this has happened over the last 4 or 5 years, where so this happened. I'd given myself, I had enough money to go about 9 months to a year, and then 9 months into that sabbatical, I was like, well, I'm not done yet. I wouldn't keep writing. and things just kind of worked out, you know. And at first I was like panicking about it a little bit and being like, how can I make this work? And then I finally was like, yeah, I'm just going to let it go. And whatever needs to happen will happen. And then for various reasons, I was able to work things out to go another 4 or 5 months. And literally the month before I was going to run out of money, I had somebody call me up and was like, hey, we have this job for my company. You want to come work for us? And it just kind of slid right in. And the whole thing was, it really was kind of easy. And not easy again, but a sense of ease.
There's an ease to it, right?
Yeah, it just flowed. The whole thing flowed.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think you know, and I love that story, and I can probably think of those moments in my life and in my journey. But the moment before, the anxiety, the stress, and all the other things that I've like kind of created to kind of not be in that ease, right? Mm-hmm. Is that letting go. And not because, you know, sometimes it shows up, well, you know, I really don't care, you know, or I kind of throw my hands up in resignation, but that's really not what it is. It is just allowing your life, allowing abundance, allowing to blessings, allowing your life to flow, and just stepping into that. And I think the more that we set our intentions, right, of, you know, taking some time off, writing a book, doing whatever we're doing, and it'll just work its way out. It will, if we allow that to happen.
There's a really important part of that, and I'm really aware of it at this point. I have 2 kids, and my son just graduated college actually in May, so he's 22 now, and my daughter's 19, getting ready to turn 20. So you know, when I think back on my life at that point, it's like everything seemed like work because you don't know things, right? So I feel like there are different stages to it. There is an element of this kind of like growing phase where you're doing the work to lay down the foundation of your capabilities, and then then at some point that you have to start trusting that process, that you've done the work, and that you've and that not only that you've done the work, but that you have the ability to do more work, and that you can keep growing and keep adapting to the situation. And I think that's the core thing, is having that growth mindset, believing in yourself. And that, for me, when I can drop into that place, then things just become, this flow way better. And I don't have the anxiety, all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. I you know, it's kind of funny. I have resisted the phrase trust the process, because it's just like, oh crap, you know, it just, you know, but how you said it there, it's like, that's our access to ease, right? You know, trust that you put in the work, trust that you understand, you know, trust that you put in the work, and there is still work to do. The process of being, right? Of in your life, for me, it gives me access to ease, right? You know, and it's like, wow, it's like I've been resisting the process of living a life of ease, which is, you know, it's like, boom, right? You know, it's like, I think that's my jewel for today. I mean, because we are so busy at being busy, right?
Yes, totally. You know? Well, and that's something that definitely became clear during, again, the quarantining and the lockdowns and things. It's so interesting when you have nothing to do and you're forced to just sit with yourself.
Right.
How, and especially for me, because I am a very physical person. A lot of the like I was saying, super hobbies, our group activities, dancing was completely shut down. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that was completely shut down. So all these things, you know, that I normally would do, and it just really forced me to like to reevaluate, like, oh, where do I get my connection from? You know, where do I get my value, and how can I be in this place without these? I mean, all those things are amazing. And even meeting people in person. I'm a very in-person kind of person where I can connect with somebody. The Zoom thing is a great alternative when you need it, but it's not the same for me as the in-person connections. So how can I adapt to this new environment in a way that allows me to have that sense of like flow and ease, and, you know, and everything, even though I'm not getting all those needs met.
Right. No, I totally get it. I mean, and it's like just being I don't want to say okay with having it go a different way, finding a way. It's like, okay, this is, these are some of the activities that I enjoy that I cannot, we can't do right now. How
Yeah.
can I not kind of like, I don't want to say bitch and moan about that, but how
Right.
can I have those things? What in my life that I can do to make those adjustments to like ease into that way of showing up, and sometimes it is on a Zoom call, and sometimes it's like, oh, okay, enough with the Zoom, right? Enough with the,
Yeah.
online and all that other kind of stuff. But there is that adaptability as long as we allow, if we're adaptable, right?
Mhm.
If we're so, and I think in some cases it's in our language of, reopening, right? And because I've said this a couple of times, and a lot of people are like, no, that's what we're doing. It's like, no, we're opening under the new conditions.
Mm.
And if
Mhm.
we have the mentality that we're opening our schools, we're opening up businesses, we're opening up our economy, or whatever we want to say, under the conditions of now looking at our safety or looking at other parameters, then I think we would embrace this as an opportunity versus, if we reopen, it's going to be the same. And it's like, okay, it's not the same.
Yes. Yeah. That's a really great point.
And it's,
Yeah.
it's that type of thing. And it's so really, how can I, like you were saying, dance or be in activities and do all the things that I love to do and kind of enjoy under this new way of living and being. And I think the more that we are open to that and trust the process, right?
Right.
And go with it, we will find our way forward instead of resisting our way, forward, what it seems like we're doing right now.
Yeah. And I think that there's some core things that you can do to make that, to like help reveal that process or reveal the way to go forward. And one of them for me is like to dig deeper into like, what is the meaning you get behind, like, if so there's this way of being that we used to have, and it's going to change. It's not going to be exactly the
Right.
same going forward. So, but what
Right.
is like when you think about ease, there's lots of things there, the non-attachment, but a big part of it to me is, again, alignment with who you are and how that
Right.
generates meaning, so you feel like you're leading a meaningful life. So for me, a lot of the challenge during March, April, and May was to go inside and say, what is the thing that I'm really missing here? Like, what is the real
Right.
meaning? And for me, a lot of it is the connections. So
Right.
all these things that I'm doing, they're in-person things, and the physical expression, through the dancing and things
Right.
like that. So so how can I keep those things happening and feel like I'm connecting with people and feel like I'm supporting people? I like to serve other people. I'm a director of engineering at the company I work at, but my role as a manager for many years has always been, how can I help the people that work for me to do the best jobs they can? That's what I love. That's what turns me on.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so how, it's like, that's the thing that I'm looking at now, is like, how can I continue to connect with people? How can I continue to contribute to people in the new environment that we're going to have? So.
Right. Yeah. I think we could talk about this for hours, but I think there's been such an ease to this that I just don't want to, like, in some cases, keep it going past.
Right.
It's my understanding, because I think it's like, what is my life calling? What is today calling for me? So is there any last thing that you want to, like, leave, or something that new has come up because of having this conversation with this word?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation and to see you again. It's been since last year, I think. So wonderful to see you, and looking forward to catching up some more in the future too.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So people can. There's Barry's website and
Oh,
everything.
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm not used to actually, I'm not actually used to talking about my work, but I do have my website here, and it's I actually just had a second book come out just a month ago or so, I guess, during the lockdown. So that was a great thing that I was able to finally finish up, and throw one coming out hopefully later this year or early next year. So yeah.
Okay. Well, wonderful. And see, so you did that with ease, right? You just jumped right.
I would love to say that. It did happen. So, yeah. And it happened to wait easier. So I'll
Right.
go for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I will end the show. If we're able to end from the green room, that would be great. If not, I will definitely talk to you.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. Great. Thanks
All
so
right.
much, Will. Take care.
All right. Wonderful. Wow. There's something within that conversation that there's just a piece in it, and I think really, like I said, it's like trusting the process. It's almost the process is our life, right? Trust your life, trust the work that you've put in it. The more that you really, and I think it goes back to the quote card that I had for the day. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So there was a you before all of this. There was an ease to you. And the more that you trust that, the more that you can have a life of ease. That's what I'm getting. I hope that this conversation has brought value to you. And I don't know if, having a coach or having a conversation with me would be beneficial, but I would love for you to come to IamWilliamBrown.com, schedule some time with me, and we can see what happens. Because I want you to be yourself and to live your life, because the world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of the day, and I will talk to you soon.